Please join me with the pledges.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This takes the flag and to the one thing of God, one indivisible.
Thank you. Mr. Brundrett will lead us in a prayer.
Please join me as I pray. Father God, we're always thankful for the blessings of this new day, and it's strange, but we should be thankful for this high that's been hanging over us and the hot weather and the Sahara dust, because by that being over us, Lord, we're keeping the hurricanes away, and heaven knows we need to do that. And Father, the word that comes to mind today was a quote by Plato, who said, "The price that good men pay for indifference to public affairs is to be ruled by evil men." And Father, we're thankful that we have these commissioners, and we're thankful that we have these that have cared enough about public affairs to come into the audience this morning and to watch what's taking place, because through that interaction between our elected officials and the public, we can have a better government. So Father, we thank you for the blessings of living in Rockport, Ranges County, and Fulton area, because if you travel much outside of these limits, you'll see what the rest of the world is like. So Father, we have so much to be thankful for today. Bless these commissioners. May the decisions they make benefit all the citizens of this county. For it's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney.
Here.
Commissioner Casterline.
Here.
Commissioner Russo. Here. Commissioner Dupnit.
Here.
Judge Garza.
Here. We've got a quorum and we've got a full court. At this time, we'll hear from citizens to be heard. And Mr. Barrett, would you like to speak now or speak at the item? Okay. Miss Adelaide Marlette. State your name and your address, please.
My name is Adelaide Marlette, and I live in Aransas County. I'm here today with my wingman, Shirley Jackson, and Bron Rorix and her husband, Skip Carrier, to talk to you about a funding request we have for you. On behalf of the people who live in the greater Rockport Country Club stormwater drainage system, we are asking for funding to help work 5 small projects that will complement the large projects the city of Rockport has recently completed. We know it's your budget time and you have no interest in anything except dollars, and so that's why we're here. We're here because our country club, our subdivision, and the area that lives around it, which is made up of 650 residential lots, 4 condominiums of pretty good size, and a recreation facility that serves an awful lot of people. We figured that there's somewhere between 1,200 and 2,000 people served by this drainage system that we're going to talk to you about today. It was put together a very unique system in its time in 1982 when it was permitted and platted under the Aransas County rules, and later brought into the city of Rockport after the houses began to be built. That's an interesting situation because here I am today asking you for money. It's a system that uses the water holes, which during the day please the golfers and everybody who lives around them, how beautiful they are, how they attract birds, wildlife, foxes, deer. And some days it becomes a nuisance, but we love where we live and we need the protection you can help us get today. When it rains, it becomes a drainage system. It uses 3 large paths, which start in the west side up close to the bypass and circle down in 3 distinct paths down to Tule Creek drainage system, where it deposits then into Little Bay. It was state of the art in 1982. And there were things that they put into it, possibly undersized because of money. It got very tight in 1982, 83, with an oil slump. And it is certainly undersized in some areas for today's growth and the popularity of this area. I imagine that 2 years ago, when we got the big rain, the system said, "Oh my, what do I do now?" Unfortunately, the big rain that we got in 2021 was not that unique. When I first moved to Rockport Country Club in 2000, something years ago, in 2004, I experienced the first time when water stood this deep on our street. And it stayed for 2 or 3 days because of some undersized equipment. We have equipment that drains a huge pond in several locations in one of the distinct heavily used paths that is 12 inches in diameter. And if you wonder why the water starts backing up into the street and standing, maybe there's a turtle over the 12-inch drain. Today, we're here because the city has recently completed its $750,000 to $830,000 project using just tax money. And so we know that the city is not real open to a lot of extra money coming in today. So we're here to ask you if you will put $250,000 in your drainage budget so that we can talk to the city about matching that and helping to complete the 5 different projects. They're small. It's like changing out one place where there's just a 12-inch opening where we could change that to a slightly larger one, possibly creating a swale or ditch. You don't do ditches on the country club, of course. That would be an emergency drain for one of the large paths that has only a long 12-inch pipe to clear that entire pond. I have today, and I'm not going to talk about them, some maps and a couple of interesting pictures for you. I will leave them and I will have the request for you.
Time's up.
Here we are.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who should I give this to?
You give it to me and I'll distribute it. All right. Thank you. And Ms. Jackson, would you like to add on? Right.
You have to go to the podium.
Go to the podium, please.
My name is Shirley Gardner Jackson, and I live at 202 Champions Drive. And you may recognize that street address because I was inundated in the latest July of 2021. And my house was not habitable for almost a year afterward. They had to tear it all the way down. It was a direct result of the inability of the system to carry off the water. And because of the way the ponds are set up to drain and how they're drained, I got runoff not only from the front, but from the back. I'm 88 years old at this point, and it was quite something for me to go through. I don't think I could go through it again if it should happen again, to tell you the truth. But I have a great deal of empathy for everybody who has had a problem because of the drainage. I have a very graphic picture in my head, which I will never remove, of the poor man who for the 3rd time had been swept away with water. And he was on his knees begging and crying. I'll never get that out of my mind. I appreciate you all and all your time and energy. And whatever you can do to help us help ourselves is greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All
Ms.
right.
Jackson represents a lot of the people, single women who are living in their homes in the country.
Thank you. We'll move on to the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
We got a motion, we got a second. I want to acknowledge a couple of donations. We've got a donation of $3,948.60 for May and a donation of $5,704.79 for June from Cattails Rescue. Those are for services that they provide at the animal shelter. We've also got a donation of an Epsom flatbed scanner with an approximate value of $100 for the Historic Center to the Aransas County Historic Commission. And we've got a donation of $25 from the Women's Club of Aransas County to the Aransas County Public Library. Any further discussion? All right, let's vote.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline.
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Dupont,
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye, passes 5-0. We'll move on to item number 10.
I move to approve the Rockport Fulton Chamber of Commerce report for the third quarter of 2023.
I'll second that.
Got a motion, got a second? Is the chamber here?
Shannon.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
How are y'all doing?
Good, thanks.
Well, so I'll just, I'll be brief, just kind of give you an update of what the chamber's been working on this April, May, and June. As you all know, Hummingbird Celebration Seafair is just weeks away. Good news is the Hummingbird celebration, the Hummer Mall, we're completely filled exhibitors. We're just, dutifully working very hard to get everything else in place. Seafair, we're about 50%, a little over 50% full of our exhibitors, and all the various committees are working on the parade and the cardboard boat races and so on and so forth. So that's high on our list, as you can imagine right now. The Aransas Pathway Committee, we work with that committee. You all know Jennifer's out. So what we've done is we work with the Aransas Pathways to help put together a series article each month to keep that product out and visibility in front of everyone. We're now we're putting together a little marketing committee so that we can put together a plan for Aransas Pathways. Basically a plan that, do we want to talk about trade shows? Do we want to talk about events? What can we do with those dollars that are in the Aransas Pathway budget to actually start marketing the product? So we're working on that. The Attractions Committee, as you all know, that's a committee where we bring all of the members, the managers of the attractions and the event organizers together. We compile all that data so that we can put that on our website. We push that information out statewide to let the state know what we're doing out here in Rockport Fulton. So we continue to meet with them monthly.
Shannon, before you move on, I have a quick question.
Yes.
And I get those monthly memos,
Mhm.
things that are happening in this month in the community, and then the weekly, and those are great.
The Monday memo, is that what you're,
Yes.
okay.
But they also send one out for the month, these
Oh,
events
yes,
are
the
going on.
newsletter, yes.
So I wondered if there was a master calendar somewhere that the community could access, and maybe there is on your website.
It is.
So if some group is planning an event in November, they could go on and see if anybody else was
Yes,
looking.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We work, yes, and on, is there?
So it's there?
Yes. it
Great,
is.
thank you.
You bet.
And also their slides.
Okay,
Click, I think you're on
okay.
fourth slide.
You want me to keep, let's see. Push through here. Okay. Okay, so here we are. All right. Geocache. So good news is we've got over the 50 geocaches in the Rockport Fulton area. For those that don't know what that is, it's sort of an online treasure hunt. Visitors can come to town. They put in a zip code and it tells them where they can go visit places in Rockport. And it gives families an opportunity just to get to know our community. Good news is we renewed our geo tour contract. And with that, we were introduced to a couple that is coming to Rockport Fulton. They actually have a geocache store
with all the cash and all the products. And so they are going to take over going around and doing all the maintenance and replacing the caches, which is awesome. That's what, that's been quite a task, but they're doing that. Of course, this is the time of the year where the Rockport Fulton Chamber is doing a lot of marketing throughout the summer. We market on Tour Texas. That's a major tourism website. They have a What's Happening, Hot Happening newsletter that they push out across the state. Again, that's where that attractions information comes from. We also are doing our television advertising in the San Antonio area, billboard placement that's gone up. On the next page. We also work with 3 radio stations in New Braunfels. So what we've been doing since March, and that'll go through August, is we basically get in touch with, as things are happening in Rockport Fulton, I call the local organizer and set up an interview with the radio station DJ, and they actually get to talk about their event. So we're trying to get people regionally to come to town. And so that's been very successful, and people are liking the idea of being able to talk about what's happening. Committees, as you all know, we have quite a number of committees within the chamber. Again, the Aransas Pathway, the attractions, the Short-Term Rental Council, basically on that, they have approached the city. They're talking about some ordinances that would be appealing to both the short-term rental owners as well as the residents, try to come together on that. They've also put together a good neighbor brochure, which they're hoping to get some approval. At that point, they'll come to the county and then the town of Fulton. So we have some continuity across the board. So that's their major project right now. The RV Council, that's also a council that talks about issues of concern to them. A lot of maintenance things going on right now. So, but they get together once a month to share their knowledge about their parks. And also we take that information and share that with the public. Again, the Hummingbird and Seafair committees, of course, the Tourism Development Council, we are just waiting as we're approaching each of the entities here and we know what our funding will be, then we'll sit down and finalize our 23-24 marketing plan. So that's our what on our to-do list as we reach those timeframes. The Texas Music Friendly Community, as you all know, Shelley has actually put together a board. And so we're trying to reach our certification. What will be good about that is we'll have access to a database because we are a music friendly community. We have a lot of events here. So hopefully we can use that database down the road and have those contacts to just build on all of our different activities and festivals. Goodie bags, we work with group business, the Warbirds over South Texas, and also the Teachers Education Conference that was here in June. We meet with these groups to share with them lodging information, restaurant information, venue information, and then we provide goodie bags so that when their people do arrive, they can go around town and take advantage of our services. The Meal Mob event, we kicked that off. We started that a couple of months ago. It's growing slowly, but the whole point with that is we're pushing that out regionally is to get people to come to support our local restaurants, number one, and to invite people regionally to come over and take advantage of Rockport Fulton. And as you all probably heard, the good news is Rockport will be host to the Smithsonian Institution, the traveling exhibit. So there is going to be an orientation at the end of the month. So we'll be working on that. It's a pretty big exposure for us. So we're very excited about that. We continue to work with the Tourism Development Council, the Coastal Bend Regional Tourism Council, the Texas Tropical Trail. We work with our regional partners and associations to market our community and our events and partner with them. And outside of that, that's mainly what I wanted to share this morning. The rest of your packet that you all have just kind of gives you a layout of our print media, the billboards that have been placed and where they've been placed. Any questions?
I want to make a comment about geocaching. So I go to Mora Park a lot and I know there's an area where there's a geocache and there's a couple there looking around, asking if they needed help.
Yeah.
They lost something. They're like, no, we're geocaching. And so since then,
Yeah.
I've seen families out in that
Yes.
area looking around. I
Yes.
know what they're doing. So that's pretty cool.
It's amazing. There are 1.3 million geocachers worldwide. It's a big thing. And it's a great way for your community to showcase all of your attractions and just to get out in the community.
Yeah.
And it's fun for the kids, for sure. It's fun for the adults for that matter. We did have over 1,000 visitors at the chamber the past 3 months. And you can see in that report, 85% of those people were from out of town and outside that 70-mile radius. And other than that, I think the rest is self-explanatory.
I just had a quick question. It's on my last page. I don't know if it's on your last page, but it's the hotel motel funding expense report.
Yes.
Under administrative services reimbursement, can you explain what is included in that?
That's part of, when we have membership dues versus hot tax, we're having to, some of the cost of staffing and so forth. For example, our postage for tourism mail outs, that's not inside the marketing budget. We have a marketing budget for the Rockport Chamber. And then we have a budget for those things that we'd like, the goodie bags, the materials and the copying. That's what the administrative cost is, in addition to the salaries.
Okay, thank you. And I did look at your new website. I thought it was pretty terrific, but I had this to give to Shelley, and if you'll take this.
Sure.
It's just about the historic homes tour. There's a contradiction in dates. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye, passes 5-0. Let's move on to item number 11.
I move to approve the second quarter report for 2023 for the Friends of the History Center of Aransas County.
I'll second that.
Got a motion, got a second? And come on up, Pam.
Great. Good to see you all this morning,
Morning.
Judge and Commissioners. This is always tricky for me because this is the past 3 months of what's gone on at the History Center, and I'm already looking ahead to future events and things. But I wanted to report on what we've seen, what some of you have seen when you've been there also. So first of all, we had some really interesting exhibits, and this one on the South Texas Ice Age, which was illustrated by fossils from nearby, was really intriguing to me. While I knew fossils existed, I never realized that they were right here near Aransas County. So that turned out to be a fantastic exhibit, short term, but very, very interesting. And as you'll see in a minute, we also had a speaker who was very well received on this. We also had student art that we had students create works of art or photographs about local history. And so we got the students engaged, first of all, in finding those locations and then doing the photographs. It turned out to be real fun. We gave ribbons and gift cards that Walmart donated to us. Then our really big exhibit that's up right now and will be up through September is called Our Heritage from the Range. And we wanted to bring ranching and farming up. We've had a wonderful time collecting new data. New families have, or not new families, old families have brought new information to us so that we could add to our files and also really do a wonderful illustration of what went on with the ranching in this area. Many of you are familiar with that. The ranches then turn into plots for farmers. So then we have the farming and the towns that develop all in the area. This was the opening day when we had music in the gazebo and also other activities on the grounds. Here we had folks from Goose Island, Parks and Wildlife setting up cook camp, as would have happened when we were having roundups with the cattle, and also roping one of the calves that you see here. So we had a good time out in our garden area. This is one of the posters that you see in the far right. This one's about coastal ranches, about actually Matagorda as well as San Jose. And the Brundrett family figured significantly in this particular thing. The artifact that you see here was carved by somebody who was the cook for the Bass family. And he carved this in the 1930s. Very interesting representation of maybe a chuck wagon. At least that's what we're calling it. Then we had Sunday programs to complement this exhibit. On the left, we had sheep ranching. Now, whoever thought about sheep ranching being part of Aransas County, but it was. And in fact, the wool that went out of Corpus Christi at one time was record setting. So we brought this up in this particular program. The one on the right is, again, the fossil program that we had earlier. We also had a very special exhibit or award ceremony that was co-sponsored by the Friends of the History Center, the Aransas County Historic Commission, and the Aransas County Historical Society. And a lot of you attended this award ceremony. The people that we gave honor awards for historic preservation were the Fulton Schoolhouse, the Connie Hager Cottage Sanctuary, Joe Ellen and Ron Myers, along with the Rockport Center for the Art for preserving the Klein Cafe. So that was a cooperative project. We took in nominations from the public and then judged them on their merit of contribution to the whole community. So we're also collaborating on a project that was mentioned earlier to bring the Smithsonian exhibit, which is called Crossroads. This will be coming, we think, in January of 2025. And again, this was a collaborative between the Rockport Cultural Arts District, the Commission, the Friends of the History Center and the Society, and the Chamber of Commerce, so that we'll all be working on that together. We really benefited from a project by the leadership of Aransas County Group. And this, of course, is a chamber-sponsored group that works all year to learn more about the community. And after or as they're learning about the community, they also pick a project to fund. And this year, the History Center was the beneficiary of their funding and their project. So what you're looking at is a wonderful new library room. We had a library, but what they have done, as you can see, is really make it very inviting, very attractive. They built the shelves, they brought a computer, they paid for an intern who is currently cataloging all of those books. And they also worked in the garden for a little while. So we really, really benefit from this leadership class. On publicity, of course, we really benefit from what the chamber does for us in getting our press releases out, but we also do a lot on our own with social media as well as invitations to everything. The last thing I'd like to mention is we are a part of Aransas County, and we really appreciate the maintenance and utilities that come through Aransas Pathways, and especially the attention that we've gotten from Renee Butler in keeping up with all the many projects that make us a little bit more attractive. Questions?
Pam, why don't you mention what the next presentation is going to be?
Oh, right. Our next exhibit that we're pretty far along on is called Collectors and Their Collections. And we're getting the gamut. You can imagine it's going to be a whole lot of fun. So Wayne White, who is a fellow who's been at the South Pole, is going to be our speaker for the opening. And he has an amazing collection. Those of you who know him have visited, but we're asking him to focus on his South Pole collection. But we have people bringing in everything from trains to baseball cards to hats to derby glasses. I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun. So we hope you'll join us at the end of September for that.
And then Monty Rouquette's.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. The Sunday
But I mean, it's good to know about the collections too.
right. The Sunday program coming up will be Monty Roquette talking about their interest in ranching. They had a number of pastures throughout the county. And so he'll be talking about that on August 20th on Sunday afternoon. Thank you, Pat.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo.
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye, passes 5-0. Item number 12.
I move to approve the second quarter report for the Aransas County Historical Commission.
Second.
Got a motion, got a second. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you guys doing today?
Oh,
I just want to take a couple minutes to go over what we've been doing, because you'll see some of this stuff on the budget item. So, in March, when we had our first quarter meeting, we started discussing about how to get the youth involved in our county history projects and get them more engaged. So I did some research and actually found that the state actually has a junior historian program. So it's actually from the State Historical Association. And I got a hold of some folks at the schools to see if they were interested in putting this in the school system. And Mr. Joe Fox, who I'm sure
yes.
y'all are aware of, jumped on it. So let's see if I can get this right. So what we're planning for this school year is to kind of reinstate what was called the Armadillo Club, and some folks that have been here for a while know what that is, but it was basically I don't know who started, I don't know the teacher that started it, but it was a history club that was more of an extracurricular. Bobby Jackson. Okay, there you go. But we're kind of reinstating that Armadillo Club, but we're going to propose it under the junior historian program from the Historical Association. So it adds a little bit more student leadership structure, and it gives them a little bit of leadership training, as well as affiliates it with a state organization. So we're just in the initial planning stages of that. Also, the Aransas County Historical Society has pledged to help us with that as well. The other part is archiving the vault. This is a huge undertaking. I got a lot of training in February and March about what to archive and what not to archive from the Texas Historical Commission. So now we started planning for it in April, and again, along with the with the History Center, we are sharing the intern, and Miss Jay Williams is actually trying to catalog all of the stuff that's in the vault as well. And to date, what we did is we gifted 2 shelves of artifacts to the History Center so they can display it. And we've got two items that are going to be gifted to the Railroad Depot so they can display it as well, because the State Historical Commission and kind of our thought is these artifacts need to be enjoyed. They don't need to be sitting away in a vault. So right now, that's the oral histories are already transferred. That was transferred before, but we're trying to determine next steps on displays with the History Center and anything else within the county where we can display anything. These are some of the artifacts. One of them was a telephone directory, which I was rather surprised that I already got somebody contacted me about going through that telephone directory, looking up some items that they're doing research on. So that was actually gifted to the History Center because they use them in their displays. And of course, the judge will probably know what the abstract of title is way better than me. But this is an abstract of title for the Smith Woodhouse that I really don't know what to do with it at this point. I don't know if we display it or what, but that's something that we'll go to the Historical Commission on and ask them. And then this is artifact from a trolley that I found in there that we're gonna hopefully have, we're gonna permanently gift to the Railroad Depot, and they can display that. But of course, we'll keep all the, the documentation. But I thought this was actually on a landscape, but here's our budget. It's kind of hard to read right now. I just got $140 bill for our intern, so that will increase that budget. There's some things in here. We are also, obviously, you've heard that we're working with that Smithsonian program as well, so we'll be sponsoring that. And I will be going to Austin along with the History Society and the Cultural Arts Center to learn what we need to do for that. Friday, I actually got I found out that THC has approved our 2 markers. So we will be paying for that in this next coming quarter. So that would be for the Brock House and the Simon Michael application. So you'll be hearing more on that. And then, of course, we just got some map cylinders and some other administrative things as well on Friday. So that will be added to the budget as well. You have any questions?
I have one not related to this report. This report was great. Thank you. I think that's very exciting about the Junior History Club. I'm not surprised Bobby Jackson was the one who created. I was looking at Jerry Brundrett to see if maybe he'd had something to do with it. But I know earlier this year, maybe the first month of the year, when we approved all of the members of the Historical Commission, what I just noted, unfortunately, just now, is that they were all appointed with their terms ending in 2024. And those terms used to be staggered so that you would never have everybody on the board being replaced at one time.
I believe it's all on the odd years that we replace, but we've got advisors like Pam Stranahan is on there. She's what you approved, I believe, was, and correct me if I'm wrong, Pam, was new officers. So the treasurer, Dave Hatman, he's our treasurer. His term as treasurer expires next year. And then my term expires in 2024. I think Gail's is in 2024, but most everybody that is on the commission has either been an officer and they come off as an officer and then they go back on as an officer.
Yeah.
So
I used to serve on the commission, and I know when I was on there, our terms were staggered. That was probably 4 years ago that my term ended and I came off the commission. I just am concerned about continuity or having all new at one time. So you might just look into that.
Yes,
But thank you. It was a great report.
yeah, thank you.
I just wanted to say one thing, on this is put together by Walter Prescott Webb.
Mhm.
If you've never studied or learned anything about him, he was amazing. He was one of the true leaders of Texas history.
Yeah, this all is being revised because COVID kind of hit all of this. So we're trying to take the lead with them in Aransas County to revise and revamp all of it.
He was killed in a car wreck in Austin.
Was he?
Yeah. Interesting.
All right, no further discussion. Vote.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye, passes 5-0. Item number 13.
I move to approve a request for variance on county subdivision regulations on minimum lot size requirements to replat 231 and 235 Paradise Drive from 2 lots into 1 lot.
Second.
Got a motion, got a second. Good morning.
Morning.
This is a variance request because our local order requires 1/4 of an acre if the property has public sewer and public water. They have both, and so this meets all of the state requirements, and staff recommends approving the variance.
So it's still below our minimum, but it's an improvement over what's there now.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right. There's no questions.
Commissioner
Oh.
Casterline. Sorry, Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye, passes 5-0. Item number 14.
I move to approve authorizing county staff to move forward with the Aransas County Aquarium construction project. I'll second that.
Got a motion, got a second. Got Mr. Strothman. Oh, well, actually, you want to speak first? Would you like to speak first? Go ahead. All right. Morning.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners.
Morning.
I guess I want to say I'm very happy that we see the aquarium moving forward. But because, Judge, you weren't sitting at the bench, or several of your commissioners weren't sitting at the bench when all this started, I thought I'd give a little history and how we got here, and then how we get this project completed. Right after the hurricane and the building that housed the aquarium blew down, the Parks and Wildlife had the lease where that building sat. Even though the county operated the building, it was on a Texas Parks and Wildlife lease. The head office of Parks and Wildlife in Austin wanted to reduce their liability before the new building was put forth. We worked with Parks and Wildlife Austin. I will tell you, working with an agency of that size in Austin, there's a lot of bureaucracy that takes place in that agency, and we utilized not only our state rep, but also Mario Martinez, our representative, to carve out and get that portion of that land broke away from the original Parks and Wildlife lease and grant a lease to the county, and that has been done. That was about a 9-month project. At that point, we were told that the building construction would be pretty much imminent. The reason I said that is we pushed a lot of the AC&D projects back to create that window for that construction of the county's aquarium. As we all know, we're 6 years later. That aquarium has not been built yet. And I was at the end of our FEMA projects. I put 2 projects now going on in that location. I have the Rockport Breakwater project, and then I have the seawall project, which will take place in that location. I would say at least 12 to 18 months, we're going to be tying that up. We'll be impacting the yacht club also, as well as all of those boaters and Parks and Wildlife themselves, because a lot of that parking lot that's going to be out in front of where the aquarium will be constructed will be lay down area for those projects. We're going to have multitudes of concrete trucks backing up down that area to dump into a large pump that's going to basically pump and build the new walk path that's on top of the breakwater. And then along that seawall, we're going to be injecting concrete grout in behind the seams of those bulkheads. All of that is very arduous, very construction heavy, as well as trying to work with the yacht club on various regattas and other things all at the same time. So because we lost that window of opportunity to construct, I would ask that you push that construction back behind those 2 projects, because I've already got one under contract in construction. The other one's already been bid and we have the contractor chosen. They're just waiting for the other one that's occupying that same space, so to speak, to get finished. So we'll need to be able to do that to facilitate this. I just got the engineered drawings of the aquarium Friday at 2:30. We have yet to see them. The original drawings that we saw was kind of the watercolor version, where it's, you know, the pretty pictures and this and that, not a lot of, I guess you would say, boundary lines and distances from the other structures. 2 of the areas that Parks and Wildlife really need to have happen is when that building shifted over the aquarium about 15 or so feet. It's to facilitate an alleyway between the new aquarium structure and the existing Parks and Wildlife to allow the trucks to get back and service their fuel tanks and those research vessels. That was a stipulation of breaking out that portion of the land which facilitated this aquarium. There's a lot of utilities back there. We need to really look in detail on how the sewer lines are going to be tied in, how the gas lines are going to be tied in, or how those major utilities may be impacted due to construction. I can't really tell you right now because I haven't really looked in the detail of those plans since I've just got that. But I'm very happy to see the aquarium get rebuilt. Field trip season down at the harbor is a very special thing, and the aquarium was a major contributor to that. Students will come in, view the aquarium for about half of the day. They would go into the Bay Education Center and then spend the last half of their day out on the beach. And many of those buses and children that come from dry land country, Freer and further to the south and east, would get to take in and learn a lot about our coastal region. And the aquarium was a major contributor to that, of their enjoyment. So I'm very happy to see that come back. But we have to start thinking about how we line this project up so it will fit between the existing projects, because that is a busy area. And so to get all the contractors in on top of each other just would not be wise. And we'll work with you on however we need to pull that off.
Thank you.
Keith,
Yeah,
about how long do you think it'll take for y'all to do the projects? I know you're just now beginning to look at it.
I'm gonna get this, y'all's, plans on our, meeting agenda and let, my commission, bless those plans. According to what we see in those details, I mean, I'm gonna have an engineer assist me in looking at that. But, that portion won't take long. It just, my existing projects will probably be at least 12 to 18 months out.
12 to 18.
Yes.
I was going to ask, because I knew you mentioned it, and I'm glad you're giving us this information. I thought you'd said 12 to 14.
Well,
But you said 12 to 18.
I mean, that's
Never know.
where those projects are is very weather impacted.
Right.
If we're out there and there's high wind and a lot of spray going over, you can't pour the concrete or get those vehicles down when they're getting drowned
Okay.
in that type of water. So we may have weather days that may push that number back some because of where those projects are located. I hope that helps in y'all.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
One other, just another question to John. With this change in control of that property, does that now become county property or is it?
The
lease
county has a
property?
lease on it.
Oh, they have the lease. What's the
Isn't that
term of the lease?
The county has a lease now for, I think, 30 years.
Yeah, we have set up a long-term lease. We work with Jen on that lease to really get that thing started and broke away from the Parks and Wildlife. So you will have a lease on that, as well as the Aquarium Education Center that's going to basically tie in now. Yeah, so we tried to really make that as smooth as we could.
So it's still.
So you didn't have a sublease of a building on top of somebody else's lease. And we kind of unfolded that, and that it took a little while to get that done through Parks and Wildlife, but we did get that unfolded. We did get a lease that goes straight to the county on that. So I think that will help long term.
Just to be clear, who is the lease with? Is it with the navigation district or with Texas Parks and Wildlife?
With us.
Navigation district.
All of that property down at the harbor is Navigation District property, and we have multiple leases down there, as you know. And now the county will be one of those leaseholders on that particular portion.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, everybody knows that this has been a long, long road to get to this point. And we were delayed for, beyond, for events beyond our control.
Well, do we have money to do it now? I mean, with changes.
That's what we're
in
going to
the-
talk about,
We're
yes,
gonna talk about it
Okay.
next.
So
in the next item. But anyway,
And
the
John, this
project.
agenda item is not to start building it, starting the process to get everything in line
We have,
with the Nav district.
right now we have, I'll give you a little bit of background here. The architect is, which is VG Architects, was the architect that Regional Pool Alliance had hired to do the project. When we started talking about moving forward with this project, I approached Mark, I forget, bear with me, I can't get his last name right.
I think it's
Plus-
Barrett.
I approached him about ownership of the plans. And he assured me that he owns the plans. And said to me at that point, he would not charge us for those plans, that the plans were paid for already. And they're plans for this project. So we have that. And so that's why we started going down this road is we have a set of plans. We have a project site, we have a lease agreement. And we're now talking about moving forward and how to pay for this. So to answer Keith's questions on the utilities are going to run primarily underneath the driveway. There'll be conduits under there to carry the gas and the electric. It's all been thought out. The sewer there's an injector pump that served the old aquarium. It currently serves the Aquarium Education Center that sits between the Parks and Wildlife Office and our property. And the sewer lines are already running to that system. So we would be just tying into the existing sewer there. So the electric pole is right there, water is right there, gas is right there, all in the corner.
The memorandum mentions a grant of $118,000 from the Ed Rochelle Foundation.
Yes.
Is there a time limit on that?
No, we've received the money. It was 5 years ago. when we first started talking about rebuilding the aquarium, the idea was to move the aquarium closer, tie the two buildings together, which is they weren't before. They were kind of like walking across the parking lot. And to tie the two buildings together and make it one unit. And so I approached the Ed Rochelle Foundation, wrote a request for that, and we were funded $118,000.
All right, so this motion is just to authorize us to move forward with this project. If there's any further discussion, let's go and vote on this one, and then the next item is about how to fund it.
Okay.
All right,
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
Judge Garza.
aye, passes 5-0. Now item number 15.
I move to authorize the use of funds generated through Aransas County Hotel Motel tax to fund the Aransas County Aquarium construction project.
I'll second that.
Got a motion, got a second.
And I also mentioned that on the use of the revenue counties bordering the Gulf of Mexico, the sections that apply specifically to Aransas County, which are, we have a population of 50,000 or less, in which there is located at least one national wildlife refuge, that we may use revenue from this tax to, and one of the items is to construct facilities such as aquariums, birding centers, and viewing sites, and nature centers and trails. So this specifically is allowed per the state code of how we can use the hotel motel tax.
Yes. By the way, just let everybody know and the public know. In 2016, prior to the storm, the aquarium had 37,000 visitors in that annual year. So this is a really a important part of our tourist business. It was a lot of schools, a lot of school projects there, school class trips. So this is one of the best venues we had in the downtown area, and I think it's important to get it up.
It was the most popular tourist attraction we had
Absolutely,
in Aransas County, and the admission was free,
yes,
which we plan to keep it that way.
right.
And we got a healthy fund balance in the hot funds, and we can't really move that money to pay for anything else. Well, we could pay for other things, but we can't use it for a courthouse. We can't use it for other construction projects. So, I mean, it's a win for us, definitely.
I think so.
All right, any further discussion? Let's
I
go
have
and
a
vote.
question.
Oh,
I
yes.
guess if I can use it on this.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Okay, we have like 2.3 million in the hot fund as of June 30th. And just really curious how we're gonna finance the rest of the, will it be just through payments made through the hot fund revenue?
What payments are you,
Well, it's.
the ones that we've already committed to as far as hot fund budget? Is
Right, well,
is that what you're
We're
referring to,
looking at,
Judge?
and I guess it's part of
Or-
the next agenda item too, because we're looking at having to approve 7.2 million to build it.
No. it's-
No, that's 700,
Oh.
27 or 7,200 just for his oversight on the
Oh, I'm
construction.
sorry, I looked at it. Okay, I apologize. Yeah. I was like, okay. So this is, the funds we have are sufficient?
Yes.
We believe so. I mean, we would have to go out for bids and get bids on construction, but we do feel like with the building that it would be sufficient funds.
Yes.
Yes, Madam Treasurer has. some
Commissioner Dupnick, if you'll look at the hot analysis that I put in your box, my projected ending balance for the hot fund after all expenditures that we have budgeted and collected is 2.3 million. So that answers your question.
I just misread the zeros. I didn't see the decimal point on the.
It's a little thing.
All right, no
Thank you.
further discussion. Let's vote.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye, passes 5-0. Let's move on to item number 16.
I move to table the proposal from VG Architects to provide architectural services for the new aquarium at Rockport Harbor which services will include estimating cost, permitting, and construction administration for the cost of $7,200. And I'll explain that after the second. Will you second that?
Got a motion? Any second? Oh, can I second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we got Commissioner Dupnick seconding it.
And I have a few reasons for requesting that we table this. I read through this contract and I am not an attorney, but I do look at a lot of our contracts. I look at them all, actually. And I had several concerns about this. I sent it to a person who, for his livelihood, did construction management and did many A1A contract reviews and just said, how does this look to you? I have some concerns. And he immediately responded that there were red flags all over this. I visited this morning right before court with our assistant county attorney, and she had not had an opportunity to review the contract. And my special concerns are, I am so much in favor of this project. Believe me, I support the aquarium 100% or higher, and of using hotel motel. But this says we're going to pay $7,200, and that would be a good thing. However, in other pages, he talks about how much it's going to cost for him to come down from Conroe once we exceed the 8 visits that he would do over the construction. And his cost is $300 an hour plus reimbursables. There's also under Article 11 compensation, where he says, the architect's basic services described here, the owner shall compensate the architect a lump sum of the $7,200. And then you flip the page and it says a non-refundable initial payment of $18,000 will be made upon execution of this agreement. And it's the minimum payment under this agreement. So I don't know if we're agreeing to $7,200, if we're agreeing to maybe $25,200, the $18,000 and the $7,200, and then an unlimited number of hours that he could bill us at $300 an hour plus reimbursables. So I would like for us to table this until we can get something that is more comprehensible and clear on what our liability would be.
I agree.
I think that brings up something that we need to have all contracts and everything looked at by the county assistant attorney before they even get on the agenda, except for potential proposals. I agree with Commissioner Russo in that we really need to be able to see at least 2 weeks in advance and maybe longer of contracts that are not emergency health and services type contracts where we should have time to look at them. And that's not anything against the staff or anything. I think it's just good practice to have the county attorney look at anything that's going to cost us any kind of money over one period of time.
All right. So the 1,700, that was just for the drawings. The other cost, that's for the services, because you need architect to be involved throughout the build.
Yeah, the 7,200 is for the basic, the services like the scope of work or the specifications, the permit process. It has to go back to the city for a 45-day review. And you should have an architect with oversight. They should be able to come down to make sure everything is, that we're learning hard lessons on the courthouse, making sure that it's being put together the way they envision it to be put together.
I want to clarify though, Judge Garza, I don't think the 7,200 was for the plans. The plans are being given to the county from BT
Correct.
Architects.
Mhm.
The 7,200 was for associated services.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yes.
All right, so we'll go and vote.
And what's the
We're
motion?
voting to table.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye, passes. Table it 5-0. Item number 17.
I move to formally to approve formally declining to draw upon and requesting to close the account for a traditional community disaster loan of $5 million for operational expenses due to lost revenue associated with Hurricane Harvey, which loan is granted to Aransas County through the Federal Emergency Management Agency and loan number EMT 2019 LF 4332 TX14.
I'll second that.
Got a motion, got a second.
I'd like to discuss this. As I read through this, we have an opportunity, or we have the loan already granted to us for $5 million. I think it runs out next year. We
Yes,
haven't used
ma'am.
it by next year. And if we use it, there's a 3% interest rate,
Yes,
correct?
ma'am.
Which is a very low interest rate in today's world. And there's also an option, although we don't know if we'll receive it or not till we ask, that FEMA might forgive this loan.
I think the time to be able to forgive it has passed.
Okay, but we have possible use of $5 million at 3%. And currently, we don't know what's to become of the losses that we've suffered, and we're waiting on insurance reimbursement. And this just seems like it might be something good for us to keep in our corner regarding the courthouse expenses. Because if we had to do bonds, I think probably the interest rate we would have to pay would be higher than 3%.
Yes, ma'am. It would more than likely be at least about 3%. What you need to look at with this is it is a 5-year payout. And so you're looking at basically $1 million a year. That's half of what we already pay in our debt service now. You're looking at probably having to add another 2 cents or so on the tax rate to even make payments on this. So, I mean,
But if we have to do certificates of obligation, won't that impact our tax rate also?
yes, it would, but we would also have a longer period to pay. It would not have as high a tax rate, an increase on the tax rate. Also, Jen just reminded me, because she was on the call with us, that it's restricted on what we can use it for. And we could not use it for building the courthouse. It has to be strictly for operational expenses.
All right, then
And that was
I remove
operational.
my opposition.
That was operational expenses associated with Hurricane Harvey. So it's even more restricted than just general operating expenses.
Thank you.
No further discussion. Let's vote.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline,
Aye.
Commissioner Garza. Sorry, Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye, passes 5-0. Right, we'll move on to item number 18.
Move to approve continuing with the county clerk's record archive plan, part 2 contract with co-file for restoration, imaging, indexing of records with a cost of up to the budgeted amount of $807,874.56, which amount does not include mold remediation.
I'll second that.
Got a motion, got a second. Any discussion? Good morning.
Good morning.
So what does it take to remediate the mold?
I don't know.
Until an expert actually has it in hand, they don't know. They feel like co-files sales representative is the only person who has seen them that has any experience in this. He feels like it's not an extensive mold issue, but if we don't treat it and we take these records into our new courthouse, we are exposing the courthouse and all of our other records to mold. And we've already paid over $1 million to have a huge number of records remediated, preserved, they're in sleeves, imaged, indexed. And if we're going to bring these that are all clean and clear, and then we bring in moldy records, you're going to expose the clean ones to the mold. Not only that, it's not going to stay in just my office. It's going to go on with our HVAC. What is it going to cost? We don't know because they don't have them in hand to see them yet.
And we haven't been able to get the insurance adjuster to send someone out.
That is correct. They have not accepted a claim and they have not sent an adjuster to view these records. But if the plan that we already have for that $807,000 to take our next set of documents to Dallas with CoFile to do the preservation, imaging, indexing. If we don't let them take them in August, we are not going to be able to keep that price. Those prices from the time they were set 3 years ago has gone up 20%, which is about $120,000 extra. I'm figuring that the mold remediation won't even be that much off what the sales representative has told me. So I think it's in our benefit, even though we don't have a claim and that we have not had an adjuster out there, to go ahead and let this part 2 section of our records to go on to Dallas with CoFile. They will do the mold remediation. Again, we don't have a known cost, but I don't see with what the sales representative has told me that it's going to be even up to that additional cost of the 20% if we were to delay this.
This contract today does not include mold remediation. What would happen is CoFile would take the records and look at them and then come back to us with an estimate on what it would cost to remediate. And you would have another document before you to review before that would be authorized.
Correct.
Whenever, before Commissioner's Court started, you and I were visiting about what all's involved here. The general public probably does not understand what the records are in volume and why this is such an issue. Could you just go into a little bit of what the process is and also approximately how many files have been remediated and how many files are left to be remediated?
There have been about, at this point, I think they took about 400 books of records. The majority of those are our deed records, but there are other records involved in that as well, hospitalization records and things like that, starting in 1859. I know 1859 is before our county separated from Refugio, but when we separated, some of those earlier records did come over to our office. So 1859 to 1951 is this whole project is what the timeline that we are working on. The next set that is going is our probate records from the early beginning of time to 1951. Why are probate records so important? Properties transfer in probates. And when that happens, a huge majority of the time, deeds are not written to show that transfer of property. So those probate records are as important to our property records as our deed records. This will also include our earlier birth, death, and marriage records. These are historical records for this county. We are tasked by law to protect and preserve these records.
So about how many records do you think we're talking about?
Oh,
Just
there's over 60,000 just probate records that'll be going, 60,000. And that's just probate records.
probate.
So, and we're taking more deed records, DD 214 records. Those are records of who lived in this county and served in our wars. These are important historical documents.
You're wanting us to basically though honor the contract we have right now to prevent that 20% upcharge and we don't do it by the completion date.
Correct.
That's agreed upon.
The biggest unknown is that mold remediation, and they will not start that until they give us a price. And then we would come back with another contract to do that. The benefit to go ahead and letting these go on top of that $120,000 is we are not going to be paying storage costs and we are not going to be paying the transportation costs because it's part of this original contract. If we don't do this now, we're going to be paying all of that in additional to the mold remediation. We are going to have more records that aren't in part of this plan that we will have to get remediated at some point before we move them into the current or the new courthouse.
So basically what you're saying is we either have them do it under our current project. So that's a known
Right.
to a great degree, or we have to go look for somebody else.
Correct.
And if I remember correctly, whenever we were looking for somebody else, there weren't that many out there.
There are very few that do this kind of work, and CoFile is the number one company in the United States doing mold remediation, preservation, indexing, rebooking, and indexing.
So Jen, can we do the mold remediation without going out for bid?
I think due to the nature of the situation that we would be able to, but also it could be treated as a change order. This contract, the way that I've drafted this is as an addendum to the existing contract. It is within the scope of work that was originally contemplated. And this is a special type service that not everyone can do. And like you said, there are very few providers within the state that are even able to take on a project like that.
After Harvey, all of our records were sent to Michigan to get this done. There are very few companies in the United States that do this work.
I'll call the question.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline.
Aye.
Commissioner Russo.
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
Judge Gaddison.
Aye, passes 5-0. Item number 19.
Move to approve the June 2023 treasurer's report.
A second it.
Got a motion, got a second, Madam Treasurer. Good morning.
Morning. The June ending balances for all funds $35,009,346.19. There's roughly 31% in the depository bank, 69% in investments. Any questions on those numbers?
No questions?
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye, passes 5-0. Item number 20.
I move to approve the treasurer's investment report for the second quarter 2023.
Second.
One point on the investment report is how much interest is earned. We budgeted for the operating funds $54,220. We have earned $324,410, accrued another $58,922, which comes to $383,332. For the bond funds, they have earned $64,049 for a total of $447,382 of interest earned. Most of the investments that I have are liquid, which could be moved overnight. We have 6 million that are long-term. 4 million of that, the maturity date is in 2024, and 2 million of it has a maturity date of 2025.
How are we doing compared to an average county using population? I know that Gatsby has some ideas of how much we should have, in reserve and everything. How are we doing in that area?
As far as reserve or the amount earned,
Both.
I don't have the reserve numbers. Jackie would have that.
We are very strong in our reserves. We've, but we normally, they say 90 days. We have over 6 months. And Commissioner's Court does budget even to keep that much in reserves.
That is an awesome thing, and that's something we need to bring up at least quarterly to let people know how strong the county is.
Yes, sir.
As far as other counties and what they invest, I do converse with a lot of other treasurers at conferences. There are many counties that do nothing but keep money in their depository bank simply because they're scared to put it in a pool or whatnot. So as far as our investment return, I think we're doing good, even though our bank is low. Currently, right now, our benchmark is to reach what the 3 months T-bill is, and we're like right at it right now because of the way rates are. But in the past, we have exceeded it. So as far as what we earn, we're on the high end.
I think we're doing very well. The last 4 quarters were quite impressive, and I really like the graphs and the pie chart that you put in there. So thank you for adding those. Good visual.
You're doing an exceptional job as far as getting a return for us, so thank you.
And I know you're doing that for the NAV district too, because I remember when you came to their meeting, maybe within the last year, and recommended that they put some things in investments, and they are doing much better since you made that recommendation. They listened to you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye, passes 5-0. Item number 21.
I move to approve authorizing the county judge to sign the county indigent healthcare program, optional healthcare services notification for Aransas County Indigent Healthcare to provide information about the optional healthcare services that Aransas County chooses to provide for the fiscal year September 1, 2023 through August 31, 2024.
August 21.
Well,
You said
it says August 21, but it's probably August 31, right? It's a fiscal year.
Right.
Yeah,
Beginning
that
on
was a
September
typo, I think.
1st.
second.
Got a motion, got a second.
My understanding is you made no changes to what we'd approved in the previous. year.
No, this list is populated by the state. Last year and several years, we have chose all of the optional services, so I am asking for approval of the actual optional services.
I'm just curious because of our conversations a few months ago about the opioid crisis. So I see that LPCs are included in here. And do you have providers for that locally, or do we send to Corpus Christi or Sinton or Victoria?
I have Sarita here. Do you know if we even had any counseling, and we have not had any, so I'm not sure who we would use.
Okay.
As far as I know, there is one here in town, but as far as her having interest in the opioid part, I don't think that was of interest to her. She actually came to court, I think, one day.
Yes.
But no, we haven't had any counseling, and the option is there to pay for it. But we
Thank
haven't
you.
had any.
Thank you. All right. Any further discussion? If not, let's vote.
Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye, passes 5-0. Item number 22.
I move to approve authorizing the Aransas County Indigent Healthcare Program to change qualification standards from the 20%, 21% federal poverty guideline minimum income standard to another minimum standard. Alma had provided 50% and gave us good backup information. I appreciate that. But I have a concern that if we change it from 21%, oh, sorry, I need a second. So what I need to say is change the qualification standards from the 21% federal poverty guideline minimum income standard to 40% federal poverty guideline minimum income standard based on 2023 federal poverty guideline.
Got a motion? Do I have a second?
I had to ask Sarita if in fact we could go to anywhere in between. I guess the state's chart always shows the 50 because that would probably be the high end level that most people choose. So I guess we could go somewhere in between.
But we need a second.
We need a second. Anyone want to second this so we can discuss? I'll go and second it. If I can.
Okay.
All right.
Then, thank you. My reasons are, as I look back and you gave us 5 years of comparison of what we had used versus budgeted, but in 3 of those years, we used over 50%. So my thinking was, if we were using over 50% with a 21% minimum income standard, then if we double that almost to 40%, we might possibly get to 100%.
Right. And I always want to help as many people.
Right,
as
I
we
understand.
can. And the money is set aside for this particular expenditure, and you are correct, we're spending a little over 50. I always say right at 50, if you average it over a period of years. And you always have the option at any given point in the year where we reach or get even close to what we have budgeted to, I will come before the court to say, do you want me to stop at the budget amount or do you want me to keep going? So you always have that option towards the end of a fiscal year. If you have spent close to your budget, when we get to the budget, then you still have a choice to stop. In other words, spend the money that we have budgeted.
Right. My concern would be for the folks who possibly had used the service before and thought it might be there. And then all of a sudden they're told that the well is run dry. You have to wait till the next fiscal year. I'd hate to do that. But I thought if we at least doubled it, and I know 40% isn't doubling 21, but it's almost doubling, that we could certainly include more of the population, more people would qualify, and that we would come very close probably to hitting the 100% of what we budget.
So keeping in mind, looking at what the 50, say a single person at the 21 and the 50, it's only like $400 extra a month. But keep in mind, that will allow more people to come in and qualify, but the $2,000 resources still puts a block, if you want to say, whether they qualify. So it's not going to be like a host stream of people coming in for the $400, or if the 40% would probably be what, maybe $300 difference.
The 40%, like for one person is 486, or two is 657 a monthly figure.
Right, but like I said, it's not like opening the door. If you're worried about opening the door wide open and everybody flooding in, you still have the $2,000 resource. In other words, they cannot have anything worth over a vehicle of 4,000 and something in their house and their personal items over $2,000. So there's still another restraint for them to qualify.
How many people currently apply for this?
Actually apply. Well, I had her see how
receive
many
it.
people we denied because of income. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people this year. One of them was totally way over the monthly income, but I don't, even know why they applied. The rest of them were close and probably still would not have qualified at the higher, even at the 51% rate. You want to know how many applicants?
Well, about how many people got funded?
I have about 60.
In the mic.
Sorry. I have about 62 clients on Indigent right now.
And they use the service more than once a year,
Yes, ma'am.
right? It'll be
Yes, ma'am.
repetitive.
Is that including the inmates?
That does not include
Okay,
inmates.
that's not.
Yeah.
And if you raise it to 40 or 50, how many would you project that might qualify then?
Probably at least, I would say probably 25 to 30 more people could access the program to be able to go to the doctor and be treated for their illnesses.
I don't see why not to go to the 50.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not talking about hundreds of people showing up.
Yeah. And the money's designated for that. I mean,
Right.
that's a.
Yes.
We have a large surplus.
So your proposal was the
The 40%,
40%?
that was the proposal.
And I would be happy with either one.
I would like to see it stay at 50 myself, though.
Yeah, me too.
Would you like to
Would
amend?
we have to change the motion or make an amendment? How would we do that?
If Commissioner
The person
Russo,
made the motor, either change it or vote it down and make a new motion.
if Commissioner Russo wants to amend her motion, she can, and then the second can also be amended. If she doesn't want to amend her motion, then you can vote on the original motion, and then someone, if it fails, someone can make a new motion.
All right, before I do that though, I just want to be sure that what you said then on the back page, these were the 5 instances of people who did apply for indigent healthcare who were turned down. So only 5 were turned away. I'm just concerned. I want to provide services for our population, but I don't want it to be seen as a recruitment tool, perhaps, to come to our community. So just the 5. Yes. Okay, then I'll withdraw that motion. Is that good, Jen? And I will say that I move, we approve authorizing the Aransas County Indigent Healthcare Program to change qualification standards from the 21% federal poverty guideline minimum income standard to the 50% federal poverty guideline minimum income standard based on the 2023 federal poverty guideline. And we would look again at this next year to see what the impact has been.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Second.
Got a motion, got a second? We've already had discussion. Let's go and vote.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye, passes 5-0. Item number 23.
Move
Okay.
to approve a request for temporary part-time employee at the tax assessor collector's office to help with the training and employee for the accounting specialist position.
I'll second that.
Got a motion, got a second. Good morning, Madam Tax Assessor Collector.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. Got any questions for me, Pat?
Tell us,
As a matter of fact. Okay, and we did have a conversation
did.
about.
We
this
had a
on Friday, And you
conversation.
told me not to ask any questions, but then.
I said I would answer.
All right.
No,
You
you said
did.
you
You
may
did.
have questions and I said I may have answers.
Okay, I bet you do.
I-
So I just want to clarify what we discussed.
Mhm.
And we didn't set it up, we just met in the hallway.
Yes,
So a former employee will come in
yes,
a temporary phase to train a current employee who's
Correct.
going to be promoted into this accounting
and she's already
specialist.
been promoted effective today.
Okay. So that really, and when that is finished, perhaps you'll be posting to fill the person who was promoted.
And it is already posted, yes.
Okay. And then probably around the time that person
Will
has
be
been
promoted,
interviewed,
I'll be
hired,
hiring again, yes.
then the other one will be trained and you won't have like an additional person for a long time on your payroll.
Well, I'm already, this is no effect of my budget anyway, because I'm already, Tana's got numbers that she can provide you. I'm already below budget
Okay.
on my payroll, so it's not going to affect it even going forward with a full staff.
All right. Well done.
That's the number one thing. You're staying within your budget.
Oh, yes. And I still will be below my budget.
all right. You explained it well. So any further discussion? If not, let's go and vote.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye, passes 5-0. Item number 24.
Move to approve a revised job description for on-site sewage facilities, environmental investigator, a job posting date, a hiring overlap of position for training purposes before current employee retirement.
I'll second that.
Got a motion, got a second. Good morning.
Good morning,
Michelle.
Judge Garza. Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
I am requesting that this new job description be available so that we can start posting this position. Our current employee has 30 years of experience from Tennessee, and then he also has a soil science degree. So hopefully we'll find somebody that has those qualifications if we can open it up now. So we can have a larger pool of candidates. Maybe we'll find another person who's retired from another state and wants to work for a couple more years. That would be awesome. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, and then as far as, I'd like to post the position now with him being hired at the beginning of October, sometime in there. Tana was on vacation and then I was at training last week, so we haven't had a lot of time. Do you have some numbers? Okay.
I do have some numbers for that, but when calculating that, it is a 1.5 payroll overlap. And even including that extra overlap into what potentially following through the rest of this year for payroll, as long as, you know, there really aren't any changes. You'll still leave about a 4,800 attrition in that budget. So it will cover everything.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any further questions? Good. Vote.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye, passes.
Thank you.
5-0. Item number 25.
I move to approve budget line item transfers for 2023 budget.
Second.
And a motion, got a second. Madam Auditor,
We have none at this time.
all right. Vote.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye, passes 5-0. Item number 26.
I move to approve accounts payable and payroll liabilities.
Second.
Yes, y'all have a list of all of the payroll and the accounts payable. There are not anything that's unusual, but I would like to point out a few things. We have an expense in 336, which is our 16 bond construction, a CIP account. This is being used, the last of it, to purchase some IT equipment for the new courthouse. Colin has received some of the equipment that was ordered months and months and months ago. So we are going to use up the funds in that account first. We also have in.
What was that expense, Jackie?
It was IT equipment was Mark for.
Oh, no, I mean the dollar amount.
Oh. I didn't write that down. I'm sorry. Let me find it.
Do you know?
I want to say it was like 60 something thousand, something like that, but let me.
That's an approximation.
Let me find it for you, Commissioner.
That's okay.
Of course, it's way back here. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I
can
had
go
it
with an
real close,
approximation.
but it is approximately $60,000. Then we have several that are through for the 430, which is our grant funds. The HMGP grant, G&W, which is our generators, the engineers for the generators was $14,206.90. Gray and Pape is also did some work for under the HGMP or HMGP on the MAR for $6,030.25. Mott McDonald did their oversights for the GLO street projects for a total amount of $134,613.68. Casey Lease is the contractor working on the Copano Heights street project, and their payment was $94,867. PGAL under the GLO grant for the community building was $7,106.25. DLF, the contractors for the community building, had a payment of $170,599.64. Allstate, the contractors for the radio tower project under the GLO. This is their retainage and final invoices of $60,784.06. Under our ARPA funds, we had a payment to EDOC for the preservation of the district clerk's documents of $92,546.50. And Rinker, it's a drainage project for the road and bridge for some pipe that we agreed to purchase to extend some drainage of $25,513. Courthouse, we had a contract, invoice from Teal for $1,057,844. And then, I don't know if y'all had noticed under the airport, we had a transfer to debt payment of $86,297. We do have our last payment to, our interest payment on debt service, in August. And so we transferred those monies from the airport for their portion. If any other questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, no more questions. Let's go and vote.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye, passes 5-0. At this time, we'll hear reports from commissioners, elected officials, department heads. No action will be taken. Do we have any reports? I do want to report that this week I sent out invites to our animal care advisory committee, and everybody I sent an invite to accepted. And I believe we will have a meeting this week, the first meeting this week or next week, depending on everybody's schedule. That's all I have.
Do you want to see who those people are? Would you-
No, it's on my computer. I don't
Oh,
have it.
okay.
I don't have the names right now. I'll send it to you.
I have something, Judge. I just wanted to remind everyone that next Monday is our workshops for budget again. And Tana has your books. If you didn't get it at the dais, then we've got yours to hand out, so you have time to look at them.
I
And
appreciate it.
I think that's all. I had something else in my mind, but it's gone. So
All right. We're gonna move on to reports
Judge,
about, sorry.
What you said you're gonna share the names with the committee members?
Yeah, I'll have Tracy share the names.
Okay.
Just not.
All right, we'll move on to reports about items of community interest. No action will be taken. Anybody got anything? All right, and do we need to go to close? At this time, I'll entertain a motion to go into close.
I move to consider convening into closed session to consult with counsel and receive legal advice about insurance matters related to Aransas County's projects and insurance claims from Hurricane Harvey, including the following pending litigation. And I'm going to read all those. Yes. Aransas County, Texas versus Endurance American Specialty Insurance Company et al. Aransas County District Court Clause number 23-0021. And North Star Recovery Services versus Aransas County Independent School District and Aransas County District Court Cause number 23-006. And Aransas County versus Kathleen Hicks in her official capacity as Director of the Regional Pool Alliance, Aransas County District Court Cause number 23-0069, pursuant to section 551.071 of the Texas Open Meetings Act, which authorizes closed sessions for a governmental body to consult with its attorneys regarding advice on legal matters pertaining to pending or contemplated litigation or a settlement offer, or on a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the governmental body under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct of the state of Texas clearly conflicts with the Open Meetings Act.
Commissioner, I want to clarify a couple of things. The first thing is on the second lawsuit listed, the case number is listed incorrectly. It is 23-0066. And also, Commissioner, was your motion to go ahead and move to go into closed session?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
Got a motion, get a second. Let's vote.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline.
Aye.
Commissioner Russo, Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye, passes 5-0. We will take a 5-minute recess and reconvene in closed.
Because we never.
Number 28.
I move to reconvene into open session.
I'll second that.
Oh, is Missy here?
Commissioner Cheney,
Sorry.
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye. Item number 29.
I move we approve the engagement of Lloyd Gosselink to represent Aransas County in relation to North Star versus Aransas County Independent School District and Aransas County. Case number 23-0066. And we authorize Judge Garza to sign the engagement letter dated July 21st, 2023.
Second.
Got a motion, got a second? All right, let's go and vote.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye, passes 5-0. And now do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All right.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye, passes. We are adjourned. Thank you. Thank you, commissioners.